So I'm out and about. How's everybody doing in this dystopian world that we're living in? Hope you're slogging along like I'm doing every day, listening to the horrors that are going on in the Ukraine, watching a murder taking place day in and day out, not one murder, many murders, and feeling helpless in the face of this megalomaniac individual, putrid Putin. That this man is allowed to do the stuff that he's done so far in this world. It's incredible, and I don't want any part of it. And I'm sure you don't want any part of it. And I'm sure the world doesn't want any part of it. And I'm at the point, and I've been at the point for a long time, and it's easy for me to say, right? Call his bluff. If he's going to start a third world war, do you think we're just going to... If he's going to threaten nukes, we'll blow him to smithereens. He ain't getting out of this alive. No matter if his bunker is 50 miles underground, he ain't going to come up, because there'll be nothing left of him. So rather than see the helpless pleas of a president of the Ukraine that could be assassinated at any point in time because of the many hit squads that have been after him. I understand there's been like 12 attempts on his life, or 12 plans that have been thwarted. This is reported by a radio journalist. And we're staying here watching the victimization and the killing and the murder of individuals, and we're supposed to take it? You know, as we all know, if you studied history, you give in to a tyrant, you give in to a bloodlusty, psycho individual, head of state, or whatever you want to call this guy, and he doesn't stop. He's empowered. He's empowered. That's what all the other despots did in recent history. I don't even want to say his name. I call him H. The author of the Holocaust, not involving only Jews, gypsies. The Soviets, he thought the Slavs were subhuman. Kept them in fields, and they would throw one potato, when there were thousands of them, and watch each of them stumble over and tear each other apart to get one potato. The master race. We suffered for that, all of us. Well, we didn't let him get away with it, did we? Took a lot. But now we have more sophisticated weapons. We don't have to send the amount of manpower into the field to get slaughtered. We can stand up. We have all sorts of defensive missiles. We have even planes that are sitting in Poland. So to establish a humanitarian corridor, at least that, and provide air support, and say, you fuckers want to come over? You want to bomb within a few miles of the corridor? You want to send in missiles? We're going to bomb the shit out of you. That's what they understand. That's what they understand. Okay? And we're strong enough. We're strong enough to stand up to bullies. All right? The U.S., the European Union are strong enough. Believe me, they're strong enough. Call putrid Putin's bluff. You know, this is the first day of Purim. And Purim is a Jewish holiday, and we remember back in the old days, 2,000 years ago, there was an attempt to exterminate the Jewish people. One of many attempts in history to exterminate the Jewish people, the Fall Guys. Okay? And the person that wanted to initiate that plan was a fellow called Haman. Haman. And on Purim, we read the story of the survival and the thwarting of that plan back in Persia. And every time his name is mentioned, we go like this. To blot out his name. And to spit on his name. And that's what we're doing with putrid Putin. I don't even like to mention that fucker's name. Because he's a fucker. He's the Haman of the present. He's the Haman of the present. You know, when some Nazis were being hanged on a gallows, I think it was inside a prison. I could be wrong, or in a courtyard. There's about, 7 of them or whatever. One of them said a Purim spiel. He knew about Jewish history, that Nazi. And he knew he got it back because God, through the Jews, got him back. We don't stand for shit like this. Not in today's world. Okay? We took care of Saddam Hussein, who put bounties on people in Israel, who paid anybody who was going to be blown up. That's what the PLO does too, by the way. Who had a prison, totalitarian state where he had prisons. I can't tell you the horrors that despot Hussein, who also studied Hitler, did in his tyranny to his own people and his sons, what they did to the women, young women who went to school under his regime. To have a despot like that in today's world, in quotation marks, nuclear power, call his bluff. This world can't stand a Putin in it. We don't want a Putin in it. He dirties the atmosphere. He has chosen means that are reprehensible beyond what a decent human being does. He's not a decent human being. He's a calculating tyrant sitting in a desk that's 30 feet away from the next person down the desk because he's afraid of either getting COVID or an assassination attempt on his own against him. This autocrat, this person without a heart, this mentality of the Russian state that my grandfather left maybe 100 years ago when Ukraine was part of Russia. He came from a region called the Bar, Podgab, Russia, which is near Kiev. I didn't know my grandfather well. He was the greatest man I ever knew before he passed away when I was 10. But he was there when the Russians turned that place into a shithole. And they're doing it again. They're turning that place into hell. And everybody is applauding the president, wondering, Zelensky wondering and praising him. This guy could be dead in any second, be assassinated. That's how close it is there. Okay? I hope they come to some type of settlement against that so-called, I call it, a Nazi regime, Russia. I hope there's some elements in Ukraine that they can get rid of too, that serve as a pretext for that megalomaniac to invade. Even if, this is my proposal, part of Western Ukraine is ceded over to individual countries in NATO and becomes their territory, hence they can have air cover over those territories. There you go. I don't know if that's done in international law. Make a new international law. To do a temporary ceding of those territories in Western Ukraine so they can have some fucking air cover. So that individual citizens don't get massacred willy-nilly. We don't want to watch this shit. And we don't want to watch Putrid Putin do his devil. That devil do his devil stuff. Inspired devil stuff. How does this man sleep? No conscience? That's what a despot is. They have no conscience. We don't want that person in this world. We don't want Putrid Putin, the present Haman in this world. And for the rest of us, in the face of this bullshit, let's keep on trucking.